Hello, friends. You're invited to live your spirit consciously and authentically. Most people aren't living with intention. They're running old childhood patterns. You may experience fear, stress, anxiety, or even chronic pain that doesn't fully go away. This is where emotional intelligence becomes power and freedom. Welcome to Living Your Spirit with Anthony. In each episode, we explore moving through emotional pain, living more authentically, and stepping outside the old matrix of fear and stepping into conscious living. Hello, welcome to Living Your Spirit. This is episode 146, and I don't really know what the title is. I just felt like I wanted to say some stuff. So there's been a lot going on. If you listen to some of the episodes, specifically Freedom Friday, you probably know a little bit about what's going on with the move and buying a new house and renting the old house. And then right in the middle of that, a trip to LA. And then looking back over the last few years, maybe more than a few years, 5-ish, 6-ish now, if I think about COVID and 2020 and being stuck in the house and all the emotional changes that I went through, not only with myself, but in some of the relationships that I was in. Relationships ended. Some new relationships were formed. Some of the new relationships were very challenging. So yeah, I guess we could say in essence about 6 years. Mental anguish, emotional challenges, some would call it emotional pain, but definitely physical pain. Going from being in the gym 7 days a week, being a personal trainer, running, lifting, teaching classes, training people so that they could get in shape and lose weight, to maybe going 5 days a week, and then 4 days, and then 3 days, and then 2 days, and I'm sure you know the rest of it. Going no days, feeling like crap, going through emotional turmoil, finding it challenging to get up some days and go out and do stuff, challenging to walk. And as time went on, now that I look back, I feel like some of the mental anguish definitely caused some of the physical anguish. So one of the things that I want to ask people about is, what is the story that you have behind what you're thinking? And what is the story that you have behind what you're feeling? So when something happens, we have so many ways that we could look at it, think about it. What's our perspective? Someone says something to us, someone does something to us, something happens, someone breaks up with us, we lose a job, we get promoted or we get demoted, we move to a new neighborhood, someone steals something from us. You name it, the list is endless. But in those situations, when something happens, how do we act? How do we react? How do we behave? How do we feel? What do we think? And the big question is, what is the story that we create? If someone steals from us, what's the story that we create? What's the truth? What's honest? And what do we know? Are we creating a story that's true and real and authentic? Are we creating a story that's based on past events, something from childhood or something from previous relationships? Or maybe we're in our 40s or 50s and we're relating back to something that happened in high school or college. So it's been 20 or 30 years, but we're still using the same types of reactions. We haven't changed. We haven't thought about it. We haven't contemplated what we're thinking and feeling and why. So we continue to go through the same patterns. So I think one of the patterns that I was in clearly was something is wrong with me, or what is wrong with me? And I feel like looking back, the more that I thought something's wrong with me or posed the question, what is wrong with me? The more my physical reality changed to something's wrong with me. And it started with hip pain, and then it was knee pain, and then it was foot pain, and then it was shoulder pain, and then it was back pain, and then it was wrist or arm pain, or hand pain, or swelling. You name it, and I had all kinds of symptoms. I talked about this in previous episodes where we know that there is a thing called myositis syndrome, which means traumatic experiences have happened in your life. They cause you to feel certain ways, act in certain ways, and behave in certain ways. And a lot of those cause physical changes in your body. They cause physical changes in your brain. And once that wiring starts to change, you start to see changes in your physical life. So there are plenty of people that have back pain. Now, there are plenty of books, and of course now there are YouTube channels and all kinds of things that let you know just because you have back pain, it doesn't mean that something is wrong with your back. If you have hip pain, it doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with your hip. You can get imaging done. You can get x-rays, MRIs. They may show something, they may not. What's interesting is some of the people that have pain have imaging that does not show anything. Now, the flip side of that, of course, is people that do have imaging that shows something almost consistently feel that, oh, now something is wrong. So they start living in that identity. And some of the things that I can think about as far as personal experience is I was having some pain in my hip. I went to get an MRI, I guess, and an x-ray. And as soon as I got the x-ray back, the person said to me, your hip's degenerated. You need it replaced. Now, from a conscious perspective, as I sat in that room, I thought, there's no way I'm getting that hip replaced. I will figure it out. I'll do whatever I have to do. I will exercise. I will stretch. I will lift weights. I will go to PT. I will get a trainer. You name it. Nothing's happening with a replacement of my hip. And I walked out of there. Now, on a conscious level, that's all fine and dandy and great. And I continued to work out, to run, to lift, deadlift, squat, you name it, I did it. And for the most part, I was fine. But what's running under the surface and what's the story? The story that's running unconsciously is something's wrong. And also, maybe I need a hip replacement. What if I need a hip replacement? So no matter what you do throughout your day, consciously, you can say, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved, I am supported. You can say anything you want. If you don't feel that, and if unconsciously or subconsciously you believe something different, whatever is running in the subconscious mind is going to win. So fast forward, I would say 9 years later, I believe it was 2017 when I got that MRI, I finally couldn't take it anymore. Basically, my body was the complete opposite of what it was before this whole thing started. So just imagine being a personal trainer and being in the gym 7 days a week to in the gym no days a week, not wanting to walk around, not really going out, not moving around much because there was definitely pain throughout my body. One day it would be, let's say, a right foot. One day it would be a left foot. One day it would be my hip. One day it would be my back. One day it would be left foot and right foot and back and hip, and maybe a knee or an elbow. So, of course, naturally, when you look at your life and you think, what is happening to me because I know where I was a year ago or 2 years ago, I know where I am now. The only thing that you really come up with is what's wrong with me. In my personal experiences, the more you ask that question, the more your mind, body, and spirit will try to find things that are wrong with you. So I want you to listen to that again. The more you say, the more you question, the more you think or feel something is wrong with me, or you ask the question, what is wrong with me? Your subconscious mind starts working to answer the question for you and to fulfill the statements that you're making. So clearly, if you're saying something's wrong with me, you're going to find things that are wrong with you. And of course, the same thing, if you're questioning what's wrong with me, you're going to find things that are wrong with me. And it's almost like a dog chasing its tail because it never ends. You think, oh, it's my back. I get it. Imaging shows me. But then maybe 3, 6, 9 months later, it's your knee or it's your foot. And now you're really thinking, what's wrong with me? And the more you ask the question, the more you get evidence, the more you get validated, the more you get answers to your question. So doing this podcast and living my spirit and manifesting and creating my reality, it really sucks to say it took me this long to actually figure out, even though I'm consciously thinking I'm fine, I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm vibrant, unconsciously something was running under the surface. And that, my friends, is what caused 6 years of turmoil. And not only from an emotional standpoint, but definitely from a physical standpoint. So if you think about the question, what's wrong with me? And you tie that to a relationship, maybe someone broke up with you and you think, what's wrong with me? Maybe you got fired from a job and you think, what's wrong with me? Maybe a friend is no longer talking to you, calling you, texting you, responding. Maybe they've blocked you. And maybe you're thinking, what's wrong with me? In a lot of cases, if you think something's wrong with you, you will start to see evidence of something being wrong with you. And maybe you'll lose other friends or you will lose other relationships. And as time goes by, you could also experience physical changes in your body, physical pain. I know for the last 3 days, I had very severe neck pain. I could not turn my neck. So you imagine driving the car and you want to look left and you want to look right and you change your whole body. So I'm literally moving my whole upper body from my waist all the way to the right to look and all the way to the left to look because my neck just would not move more than about an inch or two in either direction. Now, I didn't say what's wrong with me. I did attribute it to tension. I just did a move. I tried to get everything packed up at one house. I had to get everything unpacked at another house. I had to get the other house cleaned out so that it could be rented. Right in the middle, I had a trip to LA. I met a lot of friends in LA. I did a lot of driving, and I knew that I was coming back, but I had a class that I wanted to finish, and I had an exam that I had to take on Saturday. And when did the neck pain start? The neck pain started Friday morning. And it was kind of like something said to me, well, you're thinking about this stupid exam. You want to pass it. You've been studying, but you feel like maybe you haven't studied the amount that you should. And there's tension. I knew there was tension. So I said, oh, it's tension because of this stupid exam. But the exam will be fine. I'll pass it. And the tension in my neck will go away. The day of the test, which was today, it was really bad. And I remember waking up thinking, please just let this go away. I know what you are. You don't need to have me focus on you. And it actually eased up a little. So I would say I could turn my head maybe 3 or 4 inches now throughout the day. And as the day went on, it got easier and it felt a little more movable and mobile and loose. I had the exam at 4. It was 2 hours. At 6 o'clock, I finished and I passed. And my neck is doing quite a bit better. I will not say that it's completely gone because it's not. I would say it's about 75%. And 75% is really great considering where it was yesterday morning. So the thing that I'm asking you to do is look at your life and think about how you're thinking about life, how you're thinking about relationships, how you're thinking about your body, your career, your business or your company, your children, your parents, your friends, and what you're experiencing physically. And see if you can connect the dots. How does what you're thinking or feeling emotionally affect the way you feel physically? There are numerous stories now because there's so much research. AI is figuring out how to tell us so many things. So there are many stories around. If you don't want to do something or you think badly about something, your body, your mind will figure out a way to help you. And I don't know about certain situations, but for me, it definitely did not feel like it was helping me. Now, to the extent that it was giving me what I was asking for, or it was giving me what I was thinking, yes, of course. But did you ever notice like situations where you may have a meeting and you really don't want to go? Or you're supposed to go on a blind date or a first date and you're anxious and you're worried and you're scared. And what happens? Maybe you get diarrhea or you get a sore throat or you get laryngitis. And in a lot of cases, it connects directly to the thing that you're thinking or feeling. I don't want to get up at this meeting and talk to 200 people. So you lose your voice. Right? That makes a bunch of sense. And 9 times out of 10, people don't want to admit that happens. They don't understand that that happens. They don't connect the dots. And one of the things that I thought about was I really want to move forward with my life. And I think at the time it was, I want to move forward with this relationship. I want to move forward with my coaching business. But underneath, there was this fear and there were these questions. Why am I not moving forward? And then the other aspect of that is I'm not moving forward. So if I'm not doing the things that I need to do to move forward in my life, maybe I'm not communicating well in my relationship so that the person knows what I want to say. Maybe I'm not taking the classes that I need to take to pass an exam or get a promotion or get a raise or become a director or a manager or a VP. I may want those things, but I may not be taking the steps. So in my case, I attribute not taking the steps to physically not being able to take the steps. It's almost as if the universe said, well, you want to do all these things, but you're not taking the steps to achieve them, to fulfill them, to accomplish them. So now it's going to be challenging for you to take steps physically. So I had foot pain, I had knee pain, I had hip pain, and it was physically challenging for me to take steps. In some cases, it was physically challenging for me to get from my bedroom to the bathroom, which at the time was only about 15 feet away. So do you see how what you're thinking and feeling can manifest as things in your reality? So when you think this isn't working out, it probably will not work out. And going back to some of my previous episodes about manifestation and state of mind and embodiment and who are you being, what are you thinking and feeling? I did have something up on my screen about the outcome of the exam that said passed. So I had a screenshot from something online where someone took a test and the result came back and it said passed. And it was the same company that I was taking my exam with. I looked at that every day. I looked at that every night, and I just felt the feeling of relief. I am so relieved that I passed the exam. And I would see the words on the screen that said passed. And I was comfortable with that. I had a knowing that it was going to happen. Some of the questions in the practice test, if I didn't have the answer, I just thought, well, I will know the answer when it comes up on the test, or this question will not be on the test. Hello, friends. If you would like to live your spirit with instant emotional clarity, visit CoachAJ.com and fill out the form that pops up for the 5-day transformation. And I took the test. I was pretty calm throughout. It was 2 hours. It was 75 questions. I think I finished in about 90 minutes. And I clicked submit, I clicked finish, and the screen popped up and it said passed. And I got a chill. And I got the feeling of relief. But I also felt this is the same thing that I have been looking at and feeling for the last week. Passed. When I look at the screen, it's going to say passed. So regardless of the tension or the anxiety that I had around some of the questions and some of the answers and which one is right and which one is wrong, and I still held the feeling of relief because I passed and I saw passed on the screen. And of course, at the end of the exam, I saw passed on the screen. And those are the things that we look at. And if you want to write them down, which I'm so far beyond writing down. I used to write down 5, maybe 6 years ago, everything that I manifested, everything that I thought, and everything I felt, and the outcome. And, did I find money when I went out? Was my bill cheaper than I thought it would be? Did someone give me a gift? Was my ticket cheaper than I thought it would be? Did I get to fly first class because I expected it? Did I get the Mercedes? Did I get the new house? Did I get to go on the date? Did I lose the 10 pounds? Did I gain more muscle? And I would write these things down. I would say, I've been focused on this. I've been thinking about this. I've been feeling this. I've been visualizing this. And here's the outcome. I got it. Here's the outcome. I did it. But now it's not as important to me. And I don't need to track it. When it happens, it happens. When it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't get bent out of shape over it. But I certainly don't write them down. But if you're someone that's just beginning to live your spirit, to connect with yourself and others, to think about getting the life that you really want with regard to visualization and manifestation, it really is encouraging and motivational to help you if you write things down. If you think about certain things and feel certain ways about what you want and you get it, it certainly helps you start to see patterns when you write them down. And you can start with silly things like I did. One of the things that I really wanted to do was find something odd, like I want to see a red-headed person or a red-haired person in a red jacket. And my coworker colleague, she said, I want to see a blue bunny. And I thought, okay, is that a real bunny that's alive and hopping in your backyard? Or is that a blue bunny of any bunny, like a stuffed animal? And she said it could be anything, as long as it was blue and as long as it was a bunny. And, we're off to the races. Here we go. I think it took me about 4 months before I saw a young lady that looked like a college student, and she had red hair and she was wearing a red jacket. And I was like, oh my God, there she is. And I text my friend and she thought, okay, fine. I'm still waiting for my blue bunny. So this was probably early spring, like in the winter time, February, March-ish for the East Coast of the United States. So, of course, around Easter, it was very easy for her to, if you want to call it, manifest her blue bunny. But when you start to see the patterns of how you think and feel and what you get and don't get, then it's very easy for you to start thinking and feeling different ways based on the ways that you were thinking and feeling when you got the things that you wanted, as well as how you were thinking and feeling when you got the things that you didn't want. So if you're driving to the most popular restaurant in the area and you're thinking, oh no, there's going to be a wait and they don't take reservations, that's a big difference besides we're going to go to the restaurant and get a table right away. You don't know how, you don't know why, you don't care. All you know is that you're getting what you want. You're getting what you desired. You're getting what you're thinking and feeling and seeing. You're hearing someone say, yes, we have a table right now. Or yes, it'll be a couple minutes. Not, it's a 45-minute wait. And in some cases, I've gone places and I really didn't want to go. And I get there and they say something like, it's an hour wait. And I look at the people I'm with and I say, do you really want to wait an hour? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yay, we get to leave. Now, if you go someplace that you really want to go and there's an hour wait, maybe you have someplace close by that you can wait, or in some cases, you just go to the bar and wait for your table. But in either situation, think about what you're thinking about and what are you feeling. And when you get to the point where I feel like I'm shifting from what do I need to do and more into who am I being, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable in who I am and how I am every day. Who is Anthony being today? And if I'm a certain person or a certain persona or feeling a certain way, that will lead me to do certain things. If Anthony is a guy that's athletic, Anthony's going to want to take a walk, take a jog, go to the gym. If Anthony is someone that's healthy, he's going to want to eat maybe a salad with grilled chicken and not fried chicken wings and French fries. If Anthony is someone that starts his day early, he's going to get up at 6 or 7 in the morning and not sleep in until 10. So start thinking about what you're thinking about, start realizing what you're feeling, and then start embodying the person that you want to be. If you're the person that wants to start a company, there are so many things that you need to do that are different than someone that's an employee. If you want to be an employee and you want to be a great employee and you want to get promoted and you want to get raises, that's a lot different than someone that wants to start a company or run a business or own a business. So start thinking about who you are versus what can you do? Because in a lot of cases, you don't have a lot of things to do. In some cases, you have a lot of things that you could stop doing. But start thinking about who you are. Who are you being? Ask yourself that question when you get up. You can say that as you're laying in bed, or you can say that as you look in the mirror. Who am I being today? What do I want to accomplish today? And who do I need to be to accomplish that, or to get that, or to do that? And just allow who you are to drive your actions, reactions, and behaviors. If you're someone that's a professional, you're not going to talk down to someone at your workplace. Or if you are a kind and caring parent, you're not going to talk down, degrade your children. If you're someone that's loving, you're not going to yell and scream and put down your partner or your spouse. So start thinking about life through the lens of who am I being? And that kind of comes like the end of, or towards the back end of figuring out what you're thinking and figuring out what you're feeling and starting to map those with how your reality is. How's your day going? How's your life going? You figure out what you're thinking and feeling, and then you look at how your life is going. And once you get those nailed, you start looking at who am I being? How do I embody the person or the thing that I want to achieve? And all of it's in steps. You're not just going to wake up. It would be really great if we could all just wake up and know we're going to get the life that we want, and it's going to happen fast and it's going to be easy. But that's not how life works. It's like everything else. You have to learn, you have to practice, And when you think about all the things that we have learned and all the things that have been pumped into our minds from day one, specifically by parents, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't act that way. Well, this is what boys do, and this is what girls do, and you can't date, and this is why. You can't have sex, and this is why. And this is why we do it our way, and this is why you need to do it your way. And you can't drive, and you can't have friends over, and you can't do. Just think about living your life, let's say 18 years, in some cases, many more. After college or after high school, going to college, after college, getting a job. So all of those years, what is that? 22, 25 years of your life with people telling you what you can do, what you can't do, how you should feel, what you should say, how you should act, react, and behave. You have a lot of programming to change. And if any of that was traumatic, and if any of that got embedded in your nervous system, it's going to be a bit more challenging. It doesn't happen overnight. So many people watch these things and they say, I can't do it. Or they listen to podcasts and they say, it doesn't work. And I'm going to be the person that tells you that I started this very lightly around 2007. And then I put it on the back burner. I was like, okay, same thing, right? This doesn't work. And then I picked it up again around, I guess, 10 years later. And I was like, all of this stuff is coming up. It seems like this might work. I started watching videos and reading and getting books and podcasts. And the more I studied and the more I practiced, the more it set in and the more I learned and the more I could see it actually works. The more I could see my experiences changing. And of course, that's just like everything else in life. There are many people that start something and they find it very easy and they are successful. The flip side of that is there are many people that start things and they find it very challenging. And it takes them years to nail it. You could fall anywhere in there. And I will be the first to say, beating yourself up about it doesn't help. Take it for what it is. If you're not getting it, practice more, study more, learn more. You go through 12 years of school learning a bunch of crap that you're never going to use. And then you spend 4 to 7 years in college learning a bunch of crap that you're not going to use with a tiny sprinkle of stuff that you're going to use. So if you only studied what you needed to study in school and in college, you would probably only be there for like 3 or 4 years max. They teach you a bunch of shit that you're never going to use, that you don't need. And then they tell you you need to be here. It's all part of the system, the programming. And I think the good thing about it is more and more people are seeing that now. That's why so many people are homeschooling, because they know the school system is a crock of shit. It's basically like programming a computer. We all come out little robots. You can't do this, you can't do that. Raise your hand. It's actually hilarious to look back now and be like, oh shit, I was one of those robots. Raise your hand. You can't go to the bathroom. You need a hall pass, So now people are like, this is bullshit. I'm not pumping some drug into my child that I don't know what it's going to do to them 10, 20, 30 years from now. I'm not sending my kid to a school or an institution where they get trained to be a robot and they can't speak without raising their hand, or they're told to be quiet, or they're being told to act certain ways. So all of this is part of living your spirit. All of this is part of waking up, seeing reality and life for what it truly is, not the bullshit that we have been fed about what it is. So when you start to realize your power and you listen to Greg Braden and you listen to Joe Dispenza and you listen to Stephen Young and Rupert Spira and R.J. Spina and Peter Crone, and the list goes on, you start to see that everyone's saying the same thing. All of them are saying the same thing. They're saying it in different ways, but they're telling you, as a human, you are very powerful. The people that are in power, which I guess we would consider that government, why would they want us to know? Because then the power shifts, right? So that's why they try to keep us contained and keep us as little robots. But if you're someone that is following these types of people and listening to this type of information, such as podcasts like Living Your Spirit and podcasts by numerous other people, a good one is Lewis Howes on Spotify and YouTube, Jay Shetty, study the Kabbalah. There are so many ways that you can discover your true power as a human. And the more you discover that, the more it leads you to living your spirit, being authentic, being real, not worrying, not having fear, not having doubt. And when you lose the fear, and when you lose the doubt, when you lose the worry, you start to feel better emotionally. And when you start to feel better emotionally, you start to feel better physically. And when you feel really good emotionally or spiritually and physically, that's living your spirit. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Hello, friends. Do you have a question about something you heard in this episode? Or do you have your own personal story that you would like to share with the audience? Please go to the show notes and click on Fan Mail to send me a text message. I'll be sure to feature your question in an upcoming episode or contact you so that you can be a guest. If you would like to join the 5-Day Clarity Challenge, please go to CoachAJ.com and click on the pop-up box that shows up as soon as you hit the website. Thanks for listening. We'll connect really soon.